goes walking around going, "Mommy, when we're going to the hotel?" I was like, "You can't speak like that in the real world."
Why? I love going to the hotel. Is my favorite part of any vacation.
I know, but it's just like.
When they make the bed, do they leave you a little chocolate or a mint or something?
They do.
They do. That's my favorite part of hotels and cruises.
They do.
4 times a day, you can mess the bed up, and they leave a chocolate.
Here we are, and welcome to a very special episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, because we have with us one of the all-time family legends, the original Tio Mario is here. Welcome, Tio Mario.
It's my pleasure to be here, Shai. I just ate a green apple so that my voice can sound like yours.
So, before I introduce Lily and Becky, this is Tio Mario. He is the younger brother of our mom. Possibly the funniest person in the family, the hoster of the annual Seder, the painter, the artist. I don't know what other talents should we refer
Architect?
to. Oh, it is,
Hoster?
and a great watcher of television, and movies.
Did you say architect?
Architect? Oh yeah, architect as well.
That's his actual job.
Yeah.
I want people to think his job is watcher of movies.
But before we get further into it, Lily, how are you doing? On vacation again, we see.
I'm very good.
But in fairness, your whole city's on vacation. It's not like
yes, it's
the
not
whole
just
city.
me.
I think the whole island.
It's a whole island. Yeah, and it's a 4-day weekend. We got Monday and Tuesday off. So, and the kids have no school the whole week.
That's almost like Puerto Rico. Every time there's a holiday, they get Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday off. They go to work Wednesday.
Right, exactly. We go to work Wednesday.
And
so good.
And Becky, how are you doing? You look energetic.
Pensive.
You look a little gray.
I feel a little wrung out, a little gray. But I'll
a little newborn getting you down.
Put a little pep in my voice if I can.
Well,
for the pod.
I have exciting news, because this podcast has been around for a while, but we now have sponsors.
What?
Yeah, we have sponsors, and the
Mom and Dad don't count as sponsors.
the thing is
Mom
that
and Dad are the sponsors on everything we've ever done.
The sponsors are are a little bit they're they're sort of out of touch with the current times, but the sponsors agreed to sponsor the show only if Tio Mario would do the reads for the ads and the commercials in Spanish. So we know Tio Mario has an encyclopedia of They knew he had an encyclopedia of commercials in his mind for when he was growing up in Puerto Rico. So I was wondering, before we go further in the show, if you could maybe deliver some of the ads in Spanish that we promised to give.
Absolutely. I mean, one of my all-time favorites growing up was, there used to be Schaefer beer, right? An old brewery. Well, there's this
sounds like a Jewish beer.
I know. It was one of these, it's actually, when you opened the can, it smelled like burp, but it's one of these natty light type beers. And it went like this. Cerveza Schaefer es la mejor cuando se toma más de una. Vaso tras vaso se saborea como Schaefer no hay ninguna. Tomemos de este rico sabor y brindemos la buena fortuna. ¡Salud! Cerveza Schaefer es la mejor cuando se toma más de una. I don't know, but I gotta tell you, that one's always stuck with me.
That one. So okay,
we could do like a Donald Lum to that too.
So this beer company has sponsored us, and I think is it Clubman?
Clubman was a men's store, and if it was Clubman, it was always good. So si eres Clubman, tiene que ser bueno, and that was after everything. So if you scored a basket. Un canasto Clubman. Si es Clubman, tiene que ser bueno.
That's hilarious.
I know.
I like the beer one because it says it's the best when you drink more than one.
More than one, I know. Well, that was totally a Latin American thing. You can't just drink one. You got to have more than one.
Are there any more sponsors before we get into
one more? There was Rayovac batteries.
Okay. Rayovac batteries.
Rayovac batteries, and in Puerto Rico it was Baterías Rayovac. And there was this commercial with a bunch of Boy Scouts, and the head leader of the Boy Scouts, with the Cub Scout master or whatever, was in front of the line, and he had a flashlight, and they're going through a tunnel, and all of a sudden the light starts to go out, and one of the kids looks at him and goes, "Qué fallo, líder. Necesitas una pila Rayovac." That was it. Now the funny part here is that kid that said that, "Qué fallo, líder," was Manny Sinilovsky's little brother Elias, child actor. Very funny. You know what he does now? He's the head. I think he's like head shoe salesman for like Neiman Marcus. In charge of sales.
Oh, there you go.
That's amazing.
He's an adult.
Now you have been with us since our birth and before. We tell a lot of funny stories about our mother in particular. Earlier today, we were remembering Lily's wedding, though. Like you've done so many things for us. You've hosted the Seder for us 30 plus years. And you also essentially hosted Lily's wedding in Atlantic City on the beach.
Lily's wedding was just awesome.
Now, hosting a Corman family event means you have a lot of privy behind the scenes. A lot of things happen that people don't necessarily know about. Could you give us the little glimpse of what was going on at the scene of Lily's actual wedding and what was going on?
Besides Jose's family drinking my entire bar, and it's like, boy, could they drink and smoke. It was amazing.
There was a lot of Spaniards.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. We had the whole
opened his home to Jose's family.
Yeah, he was in our house. Then he was in Kenny and Beth Gordon's house and Debbie Rosansky's house. There were 3 houses that we got. And Debbie's house was Jose's friends, the Surfer Boys. The whole mafia was there. It was very funny. So one item that happened during the wedding, which not too many people know about, not even Becky, who was vigilant through the wedding, making sure everybody was in line. I know, I remember.
Best maid of honor.
Absolutely, you actually very authoritarian there. You did a very good job.
I like being in charge.
You were definitely in charge.
I was meant to grow up and be in charge.
So one thing that happened is besides the fact that the red wine didn't show up, and my neighbor Susan ran to the rabbi's house, who lives on my block, to get a bottle of wine to run it back down there. I don't think she made it in time.
On the beach.
Yep. During the whole ceremony, Rabbi Ron, during the ceremony would say, everybody rise. There were certain parts where everybody got up, and everybody sat down during, the service.
On the beach in Atlantic City.
On the beach, the seats and the parasols and the flip-flops. My neighbors, in their bathing suits, were so excited about the wedding, they sat all around the wedding. They were sitting all around. And one of my neighbors, EJ, Ed Jr., his dad is Ed, he's Ed Jr., they had a couple of, cerveza shavers. I'd say about a dozen. He was feeling happy, and he was very patriotic.
They're good after more than one.
So he's sitting down, and every time Rabbi Ron would say, everybody stand, everybody sit, he would stand, and he would sit, out of respect for the state of Israel and the Jewish people.
Of course.
Well, one of the other neighbors, and I don't know who it was, a very heavy-set man, who happens actually to be Jewish, and isn't, but he wasn't getting up. Why? Well, he wasn't part of the wedding, and he was just relaxing on the beach.
It's a free country.
All of a sudden, he looked at him, he said, "Dude, you got to get up." And he said, "I don't have to get up." He goes, "No, you got to get up. It's out of respect." He goes, "I'm in the beach sitting down." He goes, "No, you got to get up." And he actually reached over to him to try to pull him up. And they started to get into a tussle. And my other neighbors had to pull him back. This was going on during the wedding. You didn't see it, but it was happening on the side.
I didn't see it. That's
no way.
Oh, yeah. All my friends told me that Ed went nuts. And he tried to pick, this guy up and wanted to fight with him. There was going to be a brawl.
Amazing.
But they calmed them down. But that was one of the side
story. It's always there's always a side story with our family. There's never anything that's simple. Well, we just talked about a great moment in the circle of life. I don't really know how to segue into our topic of the day to the subject.
I don't think there is any appropriate segue to the topic of the day. It just is.
So this week,
so on that note,
Amazon released the TV show Hunters, which features Al Pacino playing an old Jewish man who's a Holocaust survivor helping a young guy hunt down Nazis that have appear to have some kind of a secret plot going on in the United States. And we all watched most of, or if not the whole first episode last night, including Tio Mario. I have to add, just want to add that we talk about movie things that are great to watch with Mom. There's a whole subset genre of things to watch with Tio Mario. If you have ever
100%.
seen, for example, the movie I Love You Man with Tio Mario,
or My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
That's like going to live theater.
Yeah.
That's like going to a comedy
it's like
show.
no, it's like one of those
Horror
screenings
Picture
where
Show.
it's like
My
a
house.
sing along, and you're like
Yeah.
meant to.
Exactly. So I think I got, I thought, and I was right, watching this show with Tio Mario was extra fun because Mario loves good shows, and we stayed up late to watch this. We stayed up past midnight to watch this because we were at our cousin's bar mitzvah last night, and so we watched Hunters, which we'll do a little reaction to. But then it led me to think, because we started talking about Marathon Man and The Boys from Brazil and all these other movies, and it led me to think, well, what could be our topic for today? I feel like pop culture Nazis is the way to go. Now, we're not making light in any way by this like super serious, like real historical subject, but we are going to do our usual thing and talk about the way the Nazis are portrayed, which is a range from super serious to absolutely ridiculous. So just everyone be prepared and please don't be offended. So with that in mind, also there's going to be
you're going to offend Nazis?
No, I don't know. Maybe offend people who don't think laughing at things about Nazis are funny. I think that's really.
That's true.
I don't mind offending the Nazis. It's more just like some of the things we're going to talk about. But let's start with Hunters. This will be a spoiler-filled reaction to Hunters. I'd like to give the floor to Becky. You watched it first. No, Lily watched it first. Lily, what was your overall reaction, just general reaction to the first episode?
I would say it's tough because you had sent me a very interesting article before about a Jewish person who watched it and had a pre-screening for the first, I think, like 5 episodes, and had a very interesting take on it, and like an intellectual take. And I kind of wish I didn't read anything smart about it because it really, it on its own, it gets you thinking a lot. I will say that I liked it, I think, though I felt that I wasn't necessarily prepared for how graphic it was going to be. However, like you made a good point, Shai, in that first scene of the show, it's very clear about what you're getting set up for.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a serious show.
Well, what I appreciate,
and it's also graphic, so it's not hiding that fact.
2 reactions. First is, 1, I really like the headline, especially these days, that Nazis are bad. This is a show about Nazis being bad. Make no mistake, they're just bad. There's no scenario in which they're good. They're bad.
There's no redemption, and they continue to be bad.
Right.
There's no remorse.
It's a good reminder of like, hey guys, Nazis equal bad. In case there's been any confusion in the last few years, let's set the record straight.
Actually, it's more than bad. It's evil. It's evil.
It's right. It's a depth of evil that's almost supernatural.
Right. Exactly. Number 2, I sort of see it as like the Mrs. Maisel of Nazi hunting shows. So,
you're so funny you said that. I see it as the almost famous of Nazi hunting shows because of the music.
Because of the 70s.
The music, right. But I feel like because of like the caricature, right, because of the 70s and the music, but because of like the caricature of characters and this, the melodrama, the way that it's done, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like Mrs. Maisel, but we're hunting Nazis. got it. Like, I think they're very clear with the expectations, and because they're clear with the expectations and the rules of this world, I can watch it and enjoy it. I think if there's any ambiguity in that first episode of the style or the rules, it would be very hard to watch it and get on board with it. But I think as far as episode 1 went, it built a very clear structure within what style, language, world this story is going to take place in. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Right. I will also say that I feel like it was like the writing is also the way that, like, when Logan Lerman walks into Pacino's house and he says, "I had no idea you were like the Jewish Bruce Wayne," and those type, those type of, like, and there's a lot of comic book talk and a lot of movie talk in the movie, without like a lot of
the whole Star Wars stick at the beginning is great.
Good and evil.
Yeah, exactly. And they literally talk about, and then the follow-up conversation with the grandmother of, like, light and dark, good and evil, you always have a choice.
And I feel like those pop culture references are like reaching out to an audience of multiple ages, right? Because we're talking about older people that are watching this, younger people that are watching this, and those are kind of like touching down on to you and saying, okay, like we're trying to keep this part of a conversation. I think reading an article like Shai sent, very intellectualizing the whole debate about the show. I think if you can have a great conversation about a show like this, then they're doing something right. And I'm not surprised that Jordan Peele's behind it, because you don't necessarily have to be on board with every style choice. Like, I can't figure out if I'm okay with Pacino's accent or not.
I'm fine with it, whatever. He's a good actor.
Like, he's a great actor. So it's just sort of like, it doesn't bother me as much as the Maisel stuff. But I think
not yet, at least.
Not yet, at least. I just think that if you're able to be intrigued, shocked a little bit, and able to have an interesting conversation about a show, then somebody's doing something right.
The only thing I had a really, really serious problem with as far as the choices was the murder of the NASA scientist.
Yeah, the gas
chamber
scene.
Way too far.
That's when I texted both of you, and I said, I don't know if I can keep watching this. This is very graphic.
So here's my take. I
don't know why you need to do that.
Because of that opening scene.
Felt traumatizing.
Because of the opening scene where this Nazi guy is discovered.
I thought it was a dream. Like, I was like, this can't be real.
And this guy who's hiding out in American society, at the State Department no less, he's out with his family and he's discovered and he murders everybody, his family included. To me, in that one moment, I'm like, oh, this is like a TV show like The Boys or Deadly Class.
The Americans.
Or not so. But the Americans, but the Americans is supposed to be more real, right?
It is, but it did remind me of The Americans too, for some reason. I agree with Mario there.
The whole idea of being covert and
undercover.
But the style was that this was like over the top, and the other part was that, to Becky's point earlier, these aren't just like. This isn't just like an Operation Finale when Eichmann's like hiding out in some town and hiding the terrible things that he does. These are evil Nazis hiding out in the United States that are still continuing to try to execute their plan, and they are an even more evil and comic book version, if it's possible, than the base level of evil that they were.
Right, I get that, but the scene of how they kill the NASA scientist, I still think it's too far. I don't think you can use this stylization as an excuse to put something like that on screen.
So for me, it was part of establishing that these guys are. I mean, and
they're really.
It's a comic book. They're comic book villains, right? Like, but
I don't think that should be taken lightly. And when you kind of reinterpret and saying, oh, it's a comic book villain, like, it's a very specific way of killing someone, and it's like too.
Well, they chose it on purpose.
They chose it on her because she created the gas.
They're doing it on purpose.
She's the chemist that started creating the gas.
She is?
Yes.
No.
She was a young chemist. She was a young.
She created the fuel.
The fuel. Yeah, exactly.
Fuel.
No. In NASA, she was creating the fuel.
She was a Nazi?
Don't you see the photograph of a young woman?
So that's why I'm so confused.
With Adolf Hitler.
That's why I'm so confused. So she's a Nazi? she was a Nazi, but then she's killed by a Nazi?
Or she
No,
was a
she's
se-
killed by
No,
the group, by Pacino's group.
No.
She's killed by the guy with the
killed by the
swastika
Nazis.
tattoo.
No.
Yeah, she's killed by. No, she's killed by the Nazis.
In the group, there's an Asian guy. In the group.
No, it's not the Asian guy.
He's
it's
the plumber
Nazi
that
guy.
walked in.
No, the guy that walked in that was the plumber
I'm
was the guy in the bowling alley that smashed that guy's face with
Yeah.
a bowling ball.
No, I think
No,
it was,
really?
I'm telling
have to
you,
go back.
she was killed.
This is very
She was
confusing.
killed by
This episode
By the-
is so
by the
classic
Jewish
only
group.
because of the
By the
argument we are
hunters.
having right now.
She was killed by the hunters.
Really?
He says
That's
this at the
not
end.
that-
I mean, Lena
So
Olin
that
says
would
it at the
make
end.
sense.
Three of
That
our
would-
special people or whatever have been murdered. In
That would make sense to what Becky's saying, because if it was a victim of the Holocaust, that's like a bridge too far. But if it's a Nazi, then it's like, fuck you, you're going to
telling
die.
you.
Oh wow! A German lady is killed in the shower by gas, which is done by an Asian acting as a plumber.
Boom.
Mario.
Oh
mic
my
drop.
God! I thought it was the guy,
Damn,
the Nazi with the swastika
I didn't
tattoo.
No.
Oh wow! And I'm
He's
pretty
not
terrible because I was sort of okay with either one, but
I
now
s-
it makes a little bit
I
more
saw him, and
sense.
then I saw him
Well,
again.
it
And I
makes
said,
it more
"Wait a
sense.
second."
I was like,
Point.
this is
It makes more
horrifying.
sense this
It's like a
way.
very traumatizing thing to do. But if she was like the Nazi that kind of like created the gas, you're
Oh,
like, all right,
yeah.
come up in.
That's who she was.
Well, I would like to know from our that
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
we were just
Amateurs.
conditioned. Maybe we
Ugh.
were just conditioned to.
I don't know. I was so tired when I was watching it last night that
Yeah, I missed the last
really,
20
I
minutes.
truly actually couldn't keep my eyes open. I
Mario,
fell
thank
asleep
you
Yes.
for
and I
that.
finished.
Oh my
extremely
gosh, you
Wow,
guys.
thank
important
God we had this
explanation.
conversation.
So
Okay, guys, gassing the woman in the shower is okay because she was a Nazi.
She was a Nazi.
Oh, yeah. She was the
Yeah.
one that helped create. She was a chemist that helped create parts of the gas, in early Nazi Germany. And then, she was being rewarded by Hitler. There was a photograph. She made it to the States. She infiltrated, and she is one of the NASA scientists. And that was given away when the guy said, you have to be careful of your, what did he say? You have to carry a weapon with you or something? He was
something
warning the
about
FBI
protection.
agent. Protection, because they'll come after you.
Right. He's like,
Careful what
the
you
wolves
open
and the
up.
bears. If you,
He was-
the
Who's
right,
gonna
the
come
wolves and
after
the bears,
her?
like
The
that.
other Nazis?
Yep.
Yeah,
Boy.
the
Boy,
stuff.
boy, yeah.
Wow, wow.
That's what
I'm gonna have to rewatch that. But
Yeah.
I'll say, in either scenario, it works for me. It works better for me if she was the Nazi who created
Oh,
the
absolutely.
gas, who was the scientist who worked on the gas. Then that works better for me. And if she was part of the network of people embedded in the U.S. government, like this guy who was the Undersecretary of State, the main guy played by Dylan Baker, then it makes sense.
What else is he from?
Dylan Baker,
Oh.
he
The
always
American?
plays the similar.
Oh, the
I
American.
know. So he was
Yeah.
the undersecretary. He worked for Robert Kennedy in 13 days.
Yeah, in
or
13
hours,
days. He
13
plays McNamara.
He
in
plays
13 days.
McNamara.
He is
Thank you.
also he's in
Well,
The Americans.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I know
despite that
from the
little bit of
Americans.
confusion, for me, the movie was framed to me much more like
The show.
Movie.
Not a movie.
Immediately-
An episode, a
Uh,
90-minute episode, which is bananas.
It was very long.
That's a movie.
I enjoyed it.
What are the
But-
rules these days? What are the rules?
But even the end of
Wait,
the
we didn't get to
episode,
hear
when
from
they
Mario
when
what
they
he
assemble
thought.
the
Okay.
team, I just want to say when they assemble the team, it was clear that it is like a Dirty Dozen, X-Men,
It
Avengers
was
type
actually
of
Captain
scenario.
America with the evil Nazi. What's his name?
Red Skull.
Red Skull.
It to me, it's much more like an ultra-violent comic book show, pulp kind of show, than it is some sort of serious, history of like the real efforts to go after Nazis. And also because Pacino's character, that's also how I can accept Pacino's character being such a caricature is the best way to describe it.
He came across a little too Henny Youngman-like in the beginning. You're like a Jewish comedy act. He's going to give you, I want to give you, a little shtick of this and a little fish, and then put it on
Yeah.
the bagel, and then we're going to murder a bunch of people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hardcore,
Like I
but I'm
said,
also a
it's the
nice
Maisel
Jewish
of Nazi
man
hunting shows.
with
yeah.
a driver and a nice car.
That was so I'm very interested to see where it goes, and I really love Logan Lerman. I think Logan Lerman as the main
agreed.
kid, he is fantastic, and he sort of, I haven't seen him in anything lately, but I've loved him since he was in the Percy Jackson movies. So I really hope that this catches on. Now I'll say, when we logged on to watch last night at 10 o'clock, Amazon was experiencing some kind of outage. I want to believe it's because everybody was watching the first episode of this show at the same time.
But also Pacino is a huge draw. You get him on his first television show, you're going to get an audience. And
he was good in it. I liked. It was a little bit goofy, but there were moments when he's just like acting normal and not going over the top, and you're like, oh wow, it's pretty cool to see. I'm gonna get 10 hours of Pacino here, right?
Right.
It's so few and
Mario,
far between. What was your overall reaction?
What did you think?
In the beginning of the movie, besides the evil part of murdering the entire family by the swimming pool, which was amazing, it almost felt like you had the 70s Wonder Years music going on, almost famous Wonder Years mix in the background with the bell bottoms, at the end of that stage. And actually, when he's trying to sell the pot and he gets beat up, that actually felt very realistic to me. The way they reacted.
Right, on all the slurs.
The slurs and everything was very, I think, real to the time. Cheap Jews, you're going to count the money, etc. That all felt real.
Like the way people would have behaved at that time.
Right. And the moment the grandmother, for me, the moment she was more understanding of what happened to him, I immediately started thinking, reading into it, saying she's definitely involved. In my mind, because she was so she was sort of like trying to lift him up, and was very understanding about, why he was beat up, and so there was something interesting before we found out who she really was. I thought it was okay, but I agree with the whole comic book part, the whole kitschiness behind it.
Like the human chess match, I don't know if that ever happened. For some reason, I don't think that.
I would not be surprised. I sort of have a feeling that happened. There was another movie I saw, I'm trying to remember which one it was, where they talked about that, and they talked about having them swim across a river carrying like weights. And of course, the idea was if you get to the other side, you can walk away free. And they never made it to the other side because they were filled with rocks and weights and whatever. So as they're swimming across the river, they would sink.
I'm not surprised it's some things like that happen. But bringing that up, I have a question. I wanted to know what you guys think of the flashbacks.
They were confusing in the beginning. I thought they were.
I thought they were confusing, and I think it's really. I think once
not sophisticated.
I think once you see something like Schindler's List, right, that has been done in such detail, it's always been hard for me again to go back into those environments. And so I think for a TV show with a TV show budget, they did a nice job, but they move you through it really quickly. They moved you really quickly through the ghetto scene just to show these two characters meeting. The flashback of the chess thing was like surreal and horrific, but used to remind you that these guys weren't only just these cartoonish villains now. So I'll go back and say, like, they weren't just cartoonish villains now, but this is their lifelong commitment to horrific acts.
Right. And I guess to remind you that Pacino and the grandmother were literally there. Like they were witnesses to this, and that's why they were.
It was a remake of almost of the X-Men, when Magneto is a little kid, he's getting ripped apart, his family's getting ripped apart,
right?
And
that's a good
from
point.
The camps.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's a very powerful scene. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, all right, so I am a full buy. On the first episode, I am intrigued by this. I want to see the rest of it. I hope it stays as good and gets better. I think I want to give it room for the story to unfold. I'm all in. How about you guys? Are you going to keep watching?
Yeah, I'll watch. Absolutely. I'll watch it because I'm the only one in my house that watches.
Yeah.
It's a job. Someone's got to do it.
Someone has to. Yeah.
No, I found it different.
Lil?
I think the same. I think it's different. I think it's not a bad idea to be, not that we need it specifically this group, but it's not a bad idea that like you're part of a consumption of media that is very clear that Nazis are bad, and the ultimate like villain that you could put in a show that we can relate to. And so yeah, I think that it's like I'm definitely curious to see. I hope it stays good because I'm curious to see.
I'm sure they're going to start talking about though the collateral damage of going and revenge killing people, right? Like it's not simply just going to be.
I would imagine.
I don't think a list of people that they knock off. There's going to be a conversation, right? The fact that they mention Bruce Wayne means the debate about vigilantism is going to be that one of the characters, an FBI agent, is going to be part of this story.
It's also very. One of Logan Lerman's first scene is talking about what makes a hero versus a villain. Right. And so I think the whole idea is that we're walking that fine line between hero versus villain, and
they're walking out of the first Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
they're walking out of
definitely.
Right, and he feels like Darth Vader is a good guy.
Yeah, what if his name is really like?
Well, he's putting the argument that he could be seen.
He's putting out the argument, but again, he has no idea of the prequels, and he has no idea of Return of the Jedi.
And he hasn't seen the Last Jedi, so he hasn't
And he hasn't
given up
on
on
the Last Jedi. So I just feel like, it's very obvious that he's making a case for where's that line drawn?
All right, so let's talk about Nazis and the movie. And again, this isn't going to be the deepest discussion ever, but let's start with the sort of some of the famous Nazi revenge movies. We've got Marathon Man, Operation Finale, which we saw recently. And then Mario was telling me about The Boys from Brazil, which I have never seen.
Brazil is awesome.
I've never seen that.
So very interesting. So in Marathon Man, in Marathon Man, Mengele, the butcher or whatever he's called there, the Angel of Death Nazi is Laurence Olivier. In Boys from Brazil, he plays the head Nazi hunter. And what's his name is?
Talk about range.
Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck is the same, and
as the evil Nazi.
I saw it. Fascinating.
Marathon Man I watched recently. Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman.
Terrifying.
Is still a great movie. Roy Scheider. The intensity of that movie, the stress of the last hour or so of that movie.
Is it
safe?
Is it safe? I wouldn't go to the dentist for 3 years. I had cavities. I wouldn't go to the dentist for 3 years.
That's a great, and that's not a very graphic movie, but it's quite.
Well, it's like Jaws. There's only certain parts that you see.
Right. Right, exactly. But yet it's terrifying, just conceptually.
It's intense, and it's sort of in the realm of the real. And he's also, Dustin Hoffman in that movie is pretty buff. He's a runner. You think of Dustin Hoffman, you think of, what's the one? The Fockers. And you don't necessarily think of him in Marathon Man. Beck, how about you? I
haven't seen any of these movies.
Oh my
You didn't see the Operation Finale?
Yeah.
Or Marathon Man or Boys from Brazil, but now I want to watch all of them.
Marathon Man, Boys from Brazil, the Odessa Files. You never saw the Odessa Files with Midnight Cowboy? What's his name?
John Voight?
John Voight's in Odessa Files. Yeah.
All right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't seen any of them. But I will. We have the Criterion Collection subscription.
Are you eating during this? Are you allowed to do that?
Am I what?
She's eating.
Yeah.
I'm not eating.
I mean, there's a lot of things happening here.
Oh, what is that?
I'm not eating. Don't accuse me of things.
I'm feeding my kiddo, but I'm on mute as I'm doing this.
Yeah, we're sticking.
But I'm getting him. I'm keeping him quiet with cookies.
So there's also a whole genre, I would say, of sci-fi Nazi things. I don't know if you've seen Iron Sky. I fell asleep during it, but it's the one where the Nazi. It's a comedy also. I would say it misses the mark on a lot of things. But the Nazis have been hiding out on the moon, and they're trying to invade Earth. This came out a few years ago. It's on Netflix.
Stupid.
It's stupid, but it's also crazy. And then there's Overlord, which I haven't seen, but I want to see soon, it's another one where they go to there's guys on a mission to do something against the Nazis, and it turns out the Nazis are breeding superhuman evil monsters, and it's like a zombie movie, a Nazi zombie movie.
It's a Nazi zombie surfing movie also. I can't remember which one.
There is?
Yes. I wouldn't watch that one though. You gotta draw the line with the surfing.
Okay. But then and then in all seriousness, is there a particular one that stuck with you, that scared you as a kid, right? Like Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List, to this day, is beyond terrifying to me.
To me, Marathon Man just terrified me. I brutally. Like that character scared me so much. So I would say that even more than Ray Fiennes.
And the one that as a teenager really got under my skin in a very subtle way was in Swing Kids. Remember Swing Kids? There's a group of friends,
Right.
and there's the Jewish ones that dance and play jazz, and one of the dancing friends joins the Hitler Youth, and he turns on his friends. And
I remember
to
being
me,
so sad at that scene.
to me, it's not graphic. It doesn't show the sort of extent of the evil, but the idea that like people's friends turned on each other and were turning people in. It was like truly a horrifying concept to me as a kid.
The one of the older ones was the Brad Pitt Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, Inglourious Basterds.
Oh,
Inglourious Basterds.
Glorious Bastard.
Oh, you're right. Christoph Waltz is.
My
Yeah.
God, not only that, and he's got
Evil.
the ultimate
That
Nazi.
for me is
When he carves his head at the end, that was
Yeah.
like, yes.
that
We're gonna
for
let
me
you
is
live.
like as
he
far
won
as
the Oscar, didn't he?
No, he didn't
No.
win for that one.
No, not for that one.
Oh,
He
Christoph
won
Waltz
for-
won for that.
He
one.
won
Christoph
supporting
Waltz
actor.
won.
Christoph
Yeah,
Waltz
that's what
won.
I'm saying. Christoph Waltz won for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of the best like caricatures
Nazis
of a
ever.
terrifying like Nazi. Yeah.
Well, that whole opening scene of that movie
But-
where he is torturing the family.
Shoshana, like
Yeah.
that
Oh.
stays with me. I can still
The
hear
milk,
that
you know,
voice
and
in
he's
my
drinking
head.
the milk,
Yeah.
and he points down, and they shoot the
Yeah.
floor. Oh, that's so
It's
terrible.
terrible.
It's so terrible.
And then I would say another movie. Well, Europa was the other. Was another
that's
big one.
right.
Again, I was
Oh,
too young
God.
to see that movie. That
The
was not
ultimate
appropriate.
circumcision movie.
Yeah. That
Oh
was,
my god. That movie, I didn't understand it. That's a movie that I
Yep.
think is
I thought
That
it was
was-
good.
that was
people
very
might think they can
interesting.
show to kids.
Definitely
And
a
then-
movie that like in the 90s adults thought was an appropriate movie to
Like
show to children to
educational
teach them
tool?
about
Yeah.
War
Actually, I
II.
saw it when I saw it when I
Super
was like
traumatizing.
17 or 18, and I thought it was amazing.
Right, I
but I
was
was already
13.
pretty old. You know
I
which
was
one?
13.
Also, here's
Oh,
one.
okay.
I'll go with working girl herself, Melanie Griffith, in Shining Through, where she
Oh,
goes
yeah.
undercover in Germany.
Yes.
And Michael
Right.
Douglas saves her, and he's at the end of the movie. He's carrying
Yes.
her across to Switzerland, and he's being shot
Yes.
as he runs
Yes.
across to get her across the
I
border.
don't believe he could carry her though.
Well,
now that I think about it.
then
in
he's not.
retrospect.
Now he's pretty old.
Well, and then
That
the
was-
one that I saw when I think I was 8 or 9 years old, 9 years old maybe, was The Sound of Music.
I was also thinking of that.
Because
at the end.
they're escaping the Nazis. The Nazis are bad. The Nazis are ruining the country, and
Right.
they're going to go to the mountains, and the hills are alive.
I remember getting to the end of that movie and being like, "Wait, this is a Nazi movie? What?" Like
Well,
just being like, I think like someone changed the tape. I remember being so shocked at the end, and then finding out that they're a real family. And
It
they
gives
live
a
in
new meaning
upstate New
to
York.
the song "So Long Farewell."
So let me tie it to
say
some family
goodbye.
history here. Our family does not have that piece of history as much in it, but Mario, when you were a kid, along with our mother and our uncle and the rest of the family, you all had to escape Cuba. You all had to
Absolutely,
escape a
yeah.
country. And I remember when we watched Sounds of Music as a kids, Mom gave us the context, which was like when they pushed the car out in the middle of the night,
God,
she's
yeah.
like, we had to do that. Now, the Cubans,
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say they're not as bad as the Nazis, but do you relate to that experience at all? Do you think about that when you watch The Sound of Music? Do you think about the fact
I'll
that
tell
you had to escape as a
absolutely.
family?
Well, it's more than that. I keep thinking the courage, the absolute incredible courage it took our family, my dad, my mom, and all the other people that left, that not only did you sneak out, all right, but you had to leave everything the way it was so that no one would suspect that you were sneaking out. In other words, we
Right.
went on a vacation visa. You left
Right.
the bank accounts, the business, the house, the furniture. You didn't take a lot with you, and you were never, ever going back. Just think about your home here that you've built with all these wonderful things, and you're going to get up with Allie and the kids and you're going to take a 1-week suitcase, and all this equipment has to stay because you have someone that, walks the dog and the neighbors and whatever, and you're leaving. And you're never coming back.
And you don't
It's
take
over.
your dog on vacation with you.
And what are you going to do? You're just going to start. You're just starting over. It's just like It's it. That concept is almost impossible to figure out. And this is what was going on, not in Nazi Germany before that. It's happening now in countries.
It's happening
in a lot of different places. That's what comes through my mind when I see those things. It's not. It's overwhelming. Actually, it truly is.
So rather than keeping going down the overwhelming, we'll just talk about some funny Nazis then to finish off the discussion of this. So recent funny Nazis we've seen Imaginary Hitler and Jojo Rabbit, which I think is like a combo funny / serious. You have the producers Springtime for Hitler. Not that guy, the guy who writes Springtime for Hitler, let alone the entire musical thing. And then I classify the Indiana Jones Nazis as kind of funny because they're very much light cartoon bad guys.
Absolutely.
What about you? What are you about you guys, Lily and Beck? To me, I feel like I've said this before. Movies, pop culture has allowed us to make. Like, Nazis are okay to be played for laughs at this point, even though they're also played for horror.
But I think that every time, it's been done, unless there's like I don't know, I think that Jojo Rabbit takes it to another level.
Of quality.
What?
Of quality.
Takes it to another level of what the standard of a quote-unquote funny Nazi or funny representation of Hitler could be. I think it surpasses even the producers, which is the ultimate, right? Like the Mel Brooks interpretation, because it's through the eyes of a child, and it's so brilliant and it's so smart, yet endearing and funny. And I think that how could you possibly make up that combination? Like, how could you get it just right? And he did, because the Hitler character is just phenomenal. It's so true to like the stuff we know about Hitler as fact, and then true to what a mind of a 10-year-old would be, and how corrupt it could be. It's so fantastic.
So there's a recent movie I saw that I thought was really cool, which was something, I think it was about I think it's called The Man Who Killed Hitler, starring Sam Neill, and I'm pretty sure it's available on Hulu, and I pitched it before. But
yes, you've talked to us about it.
It's a very cool concept because it essentially, part of what the movie deals with is the threat of Hitler being bigger than just the person, but being the persona, and that once Hitler's ideas were out into the world, that you could almost have different actors play him, right? But once those horrific ideas are out there and people are on board, they're still sort of falling in line behind it, which to me,
you get in Jojo Rabbit,
exactly,
too.
Because it's all about those ideas at the beginning.
When they're like, oh, when he killed himself, like he's out, and everybody's like, what? And the kid's like, what? What are you talking about? Like it's so much more beyond just this one person, but it really humanizes it.
Oh yeah. How about you, Beck? Funny Nazis? Any of them come to mind?
Of all the funny Nazis I've known, no, I agree that the Jojo Rabbit is kind of set apart, and I think also in part not just because of the way the character is written, but that it's played by Taika Waititi, who is half Jewish, and that's something that he talks about a lot. And when you dig a little deeper into understanding like how he came to play the role and how he feels about it, it's super fascinating that he can make such a funny character. But he has, I think there's a lot of baggage for him playing it, which is something that when you hear him talk about it, you come to understand a lot more.
I love the idea that like Nazis get to be reduced to like a Jewish person of color playing Hitler for laughs and winning an Oscar for it. Like, could there be a better like FU that like within 70 years of you doing this horrific thing, people will be celebrated for making fun of you as a child's imaginary friend. To me, I find that very satisfying. More satisfying than the murder of the Nazis being celebrated in Hunters.
Yeah, well, we're not very murdery people.
We're not super murdery.
We're more into making fun of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Since we buy
So
it
I
more
see
as
why that
comic.
really gets us. But I'm trying to think of other funny Nazi portrayals. I'll keep thinking on it. But those are three great examples of it. Should you need one? Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't we talk about what just other things we've been watching? Tio, if you have any stuff you want to recommend to people, or
Yeah,
things
any
that you're in,
non-Nazi related
non-Nazi
content
related,
you've been.
no,
Absolutely.
we've recommended all the Nazi content.
You know what? I was watching with Jan. I was watching with Jan A Million Little Things, and I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
What?
It's a new show that's on. It's on its second season, and basically it's I think 4 or 5 couples, families in Boston, and how it's all about their lives. There's a bunch of stories going on at once, and how they're all connected. It's called A Million Little Things. It's a network show, so it's not,
Right.
but it actually, I think it's extremely well written. It deals with a lot of critical things in our society and personal relationships, and I think it's a really good show.
Cool.
Yeah, so A Million Little Things, a bunch of actors that you'll recognize, some are new. Very interesting.
Very cool.
I don't want to give away. I mean, I think it's worth watching the first episode or two, because there's a big things happen in the first or second episode. I can't remember which one it was. And of course, then there's the kitschy, ridiculous ones, which I love watching. Really, like Lucifer.
Tio Mario is really into Lucifer. Every time I leave the room and come back, he's turning it on.
And I like watching shows over and over again, which drives Jan crazy, because
But that's
once
my
she's
mom
seen it
will
once, it's why in God's name would we ever watch this again? Like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Why would you watch it for the 80th time? I honestly don't know, except that everybody comments on it, and it's fun.
Still makes you laugh.
Yep. Why you
A
want to leave
babopsy.
me?
A babopsy. What about you, Beck?
So Chef Show season 3 was just released.
Chef.
That is the Jon Favreau, Roy Choi cooking show on Netflix. So far it's not as interesting as the first two, but I just love how low stakes it is. You're just like watching really good people, like really great chefs cook things and like hang out, and there's no special end result, there's no prize, it's just like, this is how good food is made. So I find it really, really nice to have something where I'm not wondering if they're going to catch the Nazi. Just something just to help pass the time. So that just came out. I'm very happy about that. And I think other than that, I've been averaging going to bed around 9 p.m., so not leaving me a ton of time to watch shows. So
How about you, Lil?
I had a bit of a stomach bug on Thursday, so I
how are you
hunkered down.
feeling?
I would say I hunkered down between my bedroom and my bathroom, and breezed right through 2 seasons of Shrill.
so good, right?
It's so good. I loved it. I recommended it already. Like, I started texting all my girl cousins and like a bunch of girlfriends, and I was just like, I'm sorry, have not seen this show? You need to watch it right now. I thought it was excellent. I was sad that I was glad that season 2 had more episodes than season 1, but still, like, I'm going to be very sad to have to wait a year for that show. And I will say that I was feverishly texting Becky during the finale of Next in Fashion on Netflix. A show you can get on Hulu.
Riveted.
And Next in Fashion is on Netflix, which is like a fashion show competition, but I loved it. And I was like nervously texting Becky for the winner of that one. It was very satisfying. It was a great show. And I'm watching Titans on Netflix too. It's kind of odd, but I was like in a bit of a lull and needed something that involved some sort of action and murder, which my husband
It's
can't
very
really- that's his
murdery.
criteria. Right,
What's
and
Titans?
I used
It's
Titans
like
is a comic book show. It's about like Robin when he splits from Batman, and him and like the gang that he kind of creates.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it. And Shai, you were kind of a downer about season 2, but so far I'm like,
Wait,
I'm
Shai,
digging
did I
it.
start watching that show?
How am I supposed to
I
know?
don't know.
I think I made you
People
guys watch the
lag.
first episode. I loved the first season, and then the
But I
second
don't
season,
mind
I
the
was just
season.
like,
I don't
"What
mind
is
it.
going on?"
Is that did I
I don't
saw
mind it.
is that the one where Minka Kelly's in it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
saw a
she's
couple
wearing a
episodes of
ridiculous
that.
Yeah, they
wig.
upped her number of episodes in season 2. They really
Right, that she was in
rearranged.
a
Wow,
coma,
I forgot
and
that
she
show
should have
existed.
died, and they were like, "We want to keep her on the show,"
Yeah.
so they just didn't kill her.
Yeah, they just didn't kill her. They brought her
It's a
back
bit
again.
hokey at times, but again, it's not too high stakes. Although it's like action and stuff, I'm not that stressed when I'm watching it, which is a relief for me because most of the stuff I watch with Costa is very stressful.
The most
Like for
interesting.
him, this Nazi Hunter show is like watching children's like.
Did
TV.
he like it? What did he think of it?
Yeah,
Did he
really
think it
liked
was a history show?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty sure he thinks it's like all accurate, like based on a true story. So, but no, he thought he was definitely enjoying it. It's like that's a show that's right up his alley. It's The Americans, but taking it up a notch.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean? Like in terms of it, and he loved The Americans. So it's like I was saying, it reminds me of that show a lot. So the fact that The Americans, but more graphic and more crazy, and then there's Jews in it, he's like so excited. For sure.
All right. Well, then we shall. My big thing this week is Hunter, so I don't have anything new to add there. Lily, where can people follow you?
Chi K Gomez, CHI on the Twitter. K as in Kellogg's or
And-
Corman,
and-
and Gomez. And on Letterboxd. Mario, you got to get on Letterboxd. You would love it.
I don't know what that
I'll
is.
show. We're gonna do a whole iPad tutorial in a few minutes. That's our next
Mario's
activity.
gonna love Letterboxd. That is gonna keep you busy for hours. Not that you have hours of free time, but
What do you think he does all day?
He
he's a
gets a
professional TV
job.
watcher, according to Shy.
I put out fires and solve problems.
Becky, where can people follow you?
On Twitter and Letterboxd at
What's your handle, Demo?
Paper BK. I'm telling them which social medias they can find me on. I'm not on all of them. So on those two, at Paper BK
I have some.
Princess.
Tio, do you want people to follow you? I know you're on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter. I have 3 followers. Wait a second.
Wait, I'll follow you.
Actually,
Mario follows us
I
on
don't even know
Twitter.
how to
He
get
likes
into
their
my
stuff.
Twitter.
You're at Mario PZS on Twitter.
There you go.
PZS. And you are on Instagram. You are Mario Z Jazz. So, but spelled with an A-S-Z. So, at Mario Z J.
But is his Instagram private?
No, it doesn't look. I don't
don't
know.
know.
Doesn't look
What
like
does that
it.
mean?
Nope, not private.
What does that mean?
There's a lot
You
of.
can make it private. I
There's
didn't know you could do
there's
that.
some good pictures of Tio Mario with the Groucho Marx glasses on here.
That was
and
Marla's wedding.
a
I
lot.
was drinking.
A lot of sporting events, a lot of Phillies and
A
Eagles.
lot of sporting events.
The Rocky statue. And Mario is it's important to recognize also Mario is the father of cousins Mindy and Shelley, who are often referenced on the show, and of course the great Tia Jan, who is
The
fantastic,
greatest.
who is absolutely amazing.
The best brisket.
Oh really? That's
Brisket. for
Brisket,
Passover is-
sweet.
oh no, the brisket, it's
meatballs.
delicious.
Oh, by the way, we recently
The
got
meatballs.
an air fryer.
Oh.
And
Oh, how is that?
I want an
It
air
is
fryer.
an
Allie
air-
will not let me get it.
Well,
I don't, it
I
says
want-
so are you
wait.
frying food in it or not?
Well,
How does it work?
here's what we've made so
Tell
far. We
us.
just got it. Mindy bought it for us actually, and we did sweet potatoes like wedges. You know. So what you do is
Tell
you-
me everything
you coat,
about
You coat
it.
the sweet potatoes with a little bit of olive oil, just a little, on the sweet potatoes in a bowl before you put them in, and you put some pepper, and then we just throw them into the fryer for 10 minutes. There's no oil in there really. And I mean 12 minutes, and 12 minutes later it comes out and it is like toasty, crispy with the grill marks, and they're awesome.
Why
That's
isn't
it.
why this is
As opposed
what?
to deep frying it. So it's not like deep frying anything.
or like
it's
it
air.
coming mushy in the oven.
No,
in the
it's
oven
not
they're always
mushy.
a little mushy.
Well, the inside, because it's
What?
a sweet potato, but you could do fries, you could do, like if you took a chicken breast and put a little coat on it and put it in there for 15 minutes, boom, you have like fried chicken, except it's not fried. It's really cool.
What brand
You were
air
so
fryer?
you're giving it a
Did
box.
they
got
give
that-
you a Spanish language commercial to do for this?
Sí, Goya tiene que ser bueno. They translated it. It's the one of the most popular commercials now on TV for Goya. If it's Goya, it's got to be good.
Oh.
And it's
So
original.
that's the same line as the Clubman.
Sí, es Globo,
They
tiene que
just
ser bueno.
reused it.
I know. No, that's what they did. That's what.
We've got a lot of Goya products in the house that Mom brings, and then Allie
so good.
Allie
Goya.
sneaks them out. Like
Ah,
Mom brought Malta. Have you ever had Malta?
that's an
That
acquired.
sounds gross.
That's an acquired taste.
Harry loves.
No,
Malta.
so the kids each drank a Malta, and they were like, "This is the best thing ever!" And then their
Really?
faces
And then they had
turned.
diarrhea.
No, but then they turned the color of the Malta, and they were like, "I can
Yeah,
never drink this
yeah,
again, Dad." So we had like a case of Malta and basement, and I forget Allie like gave it away on a listserv. She like announced it to the neighbor, and it was
Does
like,
anybody want Malta?
Anybody want
I like it. It's very fattening, actually.
two-thirds of a Malta case? And
So my grandmother would take a Malta, put an egg yolk, condensed sugar, and
Condensed
mix
milk,
it.
yeah.
Condensed
Oh
milk.
my
I'm sorry, condensed milk,
God.
and mix it together for me, so to fatten me. That was her.
God.
Yep.
And then didn't she give you like 2 espressos for breakfast and
No,
dinner
so
as well?
it was an espresso on a tall glass of milk with like 8 sugars, in the morning,
That's it.
in the afternoon, and right before bed. And the big question was, how come he's so hyper? Because you're giving him
Right.
espresso.
with the sugar high.
With sugar.
Oh no, it was like tons of sugar and tons of everything. And we'll put a banana in it or something. We gotta fatten you. That was it. It was how do we fatten this skinny little runt that can't stop
And
moving?
Giving him
Yeah,
lots of.
we
Giving him
wonder
lots of
whether
sugar.
high cholesterol that runs in our family.
That's
Well,
right.
we didn't know then. Well, we know
Oh no,
now.
the favorite was the gribalach, which was the fat from the fried chicken that she would then coagulate with salt. Add salt to it.
This
and
is
put
my
it on
dream
a
dish.
cracker, right?
I know.
And you ate fat with salt on
On a
a
cracker.
saltine cracker. That
And
was
now
like
in
little-
2020,
What about comfort food?
Mario,
oh my God,
in
you ate that and you were
2020
like, oh my God, this is like heroin.
I need to go eat some right now.
your grandmother is rolling over in her grave that you're frying with air in
Yes.
2020.
Where's
She's
the
like,
chicken
it's a
fat?
shanda. It's a shanda.
It's a
You should fry
shanda.
with it should be fried in chicken
The
fat.
grease, you could keep that grease for days and then make something of it.
Yeah. That's what my mother-in-law does. She keeps all the grease and the oil from the other stuff she cooks, and she
wants
reuses it.
something
You use it over and
flammable.
over
She
again.
wants something
It
really
coagulates,
flammable
it
in your
gets-
apartment.
You could have a little
Yeah, and then
Tupperware in the
everything
fridge
tastes
with it
good.
and spread it.
It's true. It's true.
That was it. And you
Yeah,
could make
my
yasso
my
puffs
mother-in-law
out of it.
still cooks with the chicken fat with the schmaltz.
The
She calls it
schmaltz.
and cooks it. She makes matzo brie
Oh.
cooked in schmaltz.
Ooh.
She does like a savory
Oh.
matzo brie with like fried onions.
Did
and
you
she
ever
cooks the
find
whole
that
thing in
eggs
schmaltz.
and chicken cooked together just seems like a little creepy?
Ooh, no.
Oh, that's a good.
Like it's like
No.
I never thought about that.
like to
Eggs
me,
already taste kind of chickeny,
No,
so
well,
you know.
'cause,
I just want to confirm that the air fryer is a buy. You recommend to buy it.
air fryer. I want an air fryer. Now you know
Air
me.
fryers.
I love a good impulse buy.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not gonna
Get
buy
one right now.
Allie will have to
Becky.
know when this happened by the
All right.
air fryer. How much?
Cheesy.
I'll
All
recommend
right.
it.
Speaking
Ooh,
of air
an air fryer is
food, I
too
have
much
to
for
feed
me
one
to
my
buy
children.
on impulse. It's too much. If
All right.
it was $25,
Well,
I'd
can I
know.
just
Oh, wait,
say...
come, let
Oh
Mario
wait,
see the baby.
let's
Oh, let me
wait.
see.
but
Who is that?
We got to wrap up the show, and let Tio say your final words.
Oh,
Final
by
words.
the way, Becky, did you have... Hey! Hi,
Floyd.
buddy. How you
I
doing?
have to take the blur off so you can see everyone. What?
She's so beautiful.
That's Sunny.
No, that's okay. I'm drawing a blank.
That's Sunny,
Sonny.
the new one.
No, I was going to ask you. Lynn and Steve were coming over for brunch.
She's named after your mother.
I know. And then I started thinking about Lynn and Steve. I forgot. I'm sorry. No, Sonny. Oh.
So let me just wrap up the show and say, you can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow all of us, our stuff at FridayNightMoviePod.com. I did some tinkering with the website, so it works better on mobile devices now. We will be at Baltimore Comic Con October 23rd through 25th. It's going to be amazing. Come by our
I'd like to
booth.
go to that.
You should come. we're gonna have a corner booth. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a great con. They've got tons of amazing guests already announced.
Very cool.
And our theme song is by What Does It Eat, and it will kick in, and we will dance into the afternoon.
Can I just say
dance? Oh, and then final words from Tio.
I want to say thank you for having me on this podcast. I've never been on a podcast, and you guys are
the best
amazing.
one you've been on.
The discipline, it's amazing. Your discipline to do this is quite amazing. And
Shy's discipline.
this room is everything I imagined it would be.
Because it contains everything you could possibly imagine.
Even, Bob Ross has been staring at me the whole time, bobbling his head, and
There's a Bob Ross bobble.
there's a little tchotchke problem going on in here. Something I think moved. I'm not really sure, but a
That's the
box
best
moved.
way
So we have to do a little more organizing. But it's
I have to
absolutely
go
wonderful.
problem.
I love
have to
you
go change
girls.
a diaper. I
love you.
You
See you later, guys.
you girls are absolutely amazing, and you're always on our thoughts because we love you.
I love you. Wait, and
we
Mario,
love
I
you
did
so much.
receive the gift. I got the crib. I just haven't sent out thank you cards yet. But I have the cards. I have to write them and send them. But I did receive it, so thank you.
Well,
But
you're
you will get an official thank you card.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Say good. You
Love
can say your
Bye.
special
Have
goodbye.
fun
When I say
at the.
goodbye, I love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Say the best.
It's the best.
Lily, it was
You
the
guys are
best.
having the best time.
We are having the best time. We're watching shows and playing with the kids, and yeah, it's been really fun.
By the way, the bar mitzvah was really cool.
Oh my God.
Charlie did such a great job. I mean, he's a natural. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
He just read
great.
Torah like it was like
It
nothing.
was amazing. Tio, did you forget anything you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I send my big hug and kisses and best to Mindy, Shelley, Devin, and my man Watson, baby.
What about Gritty
Who the hell's
and the
Gritty?
Philly Fanatic?
No, they're not.
The other,
no.
What about the cheesesteak guy at D'Alessandro's?
Well, I like the short order cook at Bob's Diner, though. All right.